I am Lana, the educator. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to my podcast. And to my loyal listeners, welcome back. In this season finale, you'll hear from someone whose life has been a dance, both literally and figuratively, through artistry, academia, entrepreneurship, and now the literary world. Our guest has moved through multiple careers, each one adding a new layer to her story. From professional dancer at just 18, training with legends like Noble Douglas and Astor Johnson, to psychology studies, production work, and mindfulness teaching. Her path has been anything but linear. Now, as the manager of Paper Based Bookshop, she brings that same passion for storytelling and cultural preservation into the world of books. The bookstore specializes in Caribbean literature, amplifying voices that capture the region's rich identity while incorporating internationally acclaimed works, from Booker and Pulitzer Prize winners to timeless classics. It's more than just a place to buy books. It's a space where narratives intertwine, bridging local and global perspectives in a way that mirrors our guest's own evolution. Join me in welcoming Simone Camps. Welcome, Simone.
Hi, Lana. It's a pleasure to be here. You make my career sound so much more interesting than it actually
It is interesting. For someone like me, I mean, that's a dream job. And your
Well,
bookstore is like, for me, how people would say, you're in a candy store. So that's how I feel. You guys have to visit Paper-Based Bookstore.
I do feel like I'm in a candy store as well.
Yes, it's amazing. Then you get to choose new candy ever so often. So it's amazing. So how long have you been managing the Paper-Based Bookshop?
So, could I just give a little history about
Of
paper-based
course.
bookshop? I say how. So, paper-based bookshop has been going since 1987.
Mm,
Yeah, so it's one of the longest running independent bookshops, and I think could, could easily say the only one that is almost solely Caribbean based. I
mhm.
mean, as you mentioned, we do some international um, titles, but we're like 90% Caribbean based. And I think I can say, rightly that we are the only one in Trinidad.
Mhm.
So it was started by Joan Dial, and she ran it for many, many years. And last year, no, in 2023, well, she's getting older and she wanted to relax a little bit because it's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's a small shop, but it's a lot of work. And so she retired. And then it moved from its old home of the Normandy to where it is now in the Writers' Center, which actually is really good because it's now, I share offices with Vocus Lit Fest.
Right.
So there's a lot of information that flows between the two.
Mhm.
I can inform them and they inform me.
Right.
So and the Writers Center, which they're trying to make it like a literary hub.
Yeah.
So it all fits together really nicely.
Nice.
So back to me,
Yeah.
I'm there for actually almost exactly a year. I started in March last year.
Okay.
And I mean, as you know from the instructions that I had given you, I was in production, in video production.
Right.
That I'd been doing for the past 20 years.
Mhm.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Time came for a change. Didn't know what I was doing. Went into mindfulness. Really enjoyed that. But then this popped up and it was like, as you said, it was like in a candy store. It was like a dream come true, a
Right.
dream job. I actually did not know that much about Caribbean literature.
Okay.
Well, I'm an avid reader. I mean, all since I'm a child, I read it. I love to read.
Mm.
Children will tell you anytime they see me, I was behind the book. But I wasn't aware of how much Caribbean. Now, I'm a fiction reader as well. I like fiction and memoirs, biographies.
Mm.
I wasn't aware of how much we had.
Mm.
I knew of the history and the political and thing books, but not of the fiction and the memoirs.
Mm.
And so it was a big eye opener for me to come in there
Mm.
and see, the amount of work that we have. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. And we're glad because you really offer books, as you say, books you will not get in the typical or traditional bookstore just about in Trinidad. I think you really, if you hear about a book someone wrote, a Caribbean-based writer, the place to actually go and get it is Paper Based Bookshop. It's the first place I think you have to look because other places they may not have heard about it or you have to search around. But I think
Yeah,
every instance of an author, at least who's Caribbean-based, even though that's not the only thing you carry, you definitely will get it at a paper-based bookstore. Yeah, I can
definitely.
attest to that.
And if we don't, then we certainly make an attempt. If we've now heard of it, I'll
Hmm.
make an attempt to go and search out the book and try and get it.
Yeah. So you,
But a lot of people don't know that. Huh? They don't know that we exist.
oh, well, I've certainly been telling people, even up to today. And now that you've moved from, as you said, from the Normandy, and you have the quaint and cute little, coffee shop, and sometimes you go in there and you see the writers writing. I keep telling people about the ambience and then the whole experience is someplace you feel really comfortable, especially if you love to read and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. I think it's really nice now that with the cafe and the bookstore and Lucas, it's a good hub.
Yes, for sure. So you talk about it first being started in 1987, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't know that. So how would you say it has evolved since it first opened?
Well, for that story, you would really need to talk to Joan. Because I think she started really as just kind of selling extras for the hotel, like
Mm-hmm.
things for the guests, little things, toothbrush,
Mm-hmm.
combs, different small things.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm not sure how she got into the book selling, but she noticed that there was a gap.
Mm-hmm.
People would come and tell her, "Oh, I have this book to sell. Where would you like to sell it?" And she built up like that very
Oh,
slowly,
right.
and until she made a name for herself. That, oh, this is I think she realized then that, hey, this is something that no one else is. There's no outlet for the Caribbean authors, and it slowly built like that. And now people kind of authors come and seek us out. They say, okay, I have a new book.
Right.
Will you have the book my book on your shelf?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't often have to go searching too much.
Right.
Some books, yeah, I will. I do have to, but a lot of times they come to the bookshop.
Mm. So what does a typical day look like for you as a bookshop manager? And I was laughing at your email because I know I had the question. And then you said you're what you're having, what kind of day?
I think I
A,
said a splendid day.
a splendid day. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Because today the internet went out, so
Ah,
and we can't operate without internet, so we were trying to balance. I was on the phone, so we're
right.
trying to put the point of sale system on the phone and that kind of thing.
All right.
So a typical day would be I would come in the morning. So there are two of us really that run this. I'm the manager, and then we have Danny, who's the sales clerk.
Mm-hmm.
She's much more than a sales clerk. She knows the book, she knows the customers. She she actually does our social media for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all integrated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she will open up. I will come in. I usually get there before her. I open up. We open the cash register. Then she comes in. Then I deal with emails. So I have two sets of emails. I have emails to do with ordering books,
Mm-hmm.
talking to publishers, that kind of thing. And then I have emails dealing with new authors, people wanting to get their books in the store. And then actually a third category, vendors that we already have. So authors who have their books in our store, generally they want, to know how their books are going, do we
Right.
need to stock, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that takes up a lot of time. Then I have to spend some time on strategizing. How am I going to push the store for the month?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing social media wise? We can't afford much more advertising than that.
Right.
They were really small budgets, so most of our advertising is in the newsletter or social media. So trying to decide, okay, or setting up for the month. what posts are we going to do and what are we going to focus on and why and those kind of things. Um, then I'll usually have books coming in because we're constantly ordering.
Right.
Then we have to cost them. I have to get them in, cost them, get them into the system, and then get them on the shelves. And now that I'm trying to get our website up,
Right.
a lot of time is spent getting it in the inventory. You have to take the pictures of all the books, make sure they're all there. I'm nearly finished. So hopefully the website will be ready to go live at the end of the month.
Will you be selling books there?
Yes,
Yes.
it's going to be
online sales. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm excited, really excited for that.
Right. I'll wash all my money. I'm thinking all the money now is gonna go. Because sometimes you can come in when I go into the store, and as you saw me, I can say, no, I know I can only choose this one. But now, what am I going to do?
Yeah, and a lot of people, because you see, they may not have time to browse in the actual bookstore.
Yeah.
But now that online, you're home 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
You can go online and look and see what we have.
And I've seen you at the Booker's Lit Fest, doing the sales there, the kind of point of sales outside. So that's a good opportunity because I know sometimes you encounter people and they want to buy the book and the book is going and selling so fast that you may run out of the ones that you have at the desk there. So that's a good opportunity for them to go across to the website to be able to get the books. That's great. So I'll be looking forward to that myself. So what criteria do you use when you select the books for your shop?
First of all, I'm looking for Caribbean based.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. Now, a lot of the authors, in fact, quite a few of the authors, they no longer live in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
They have moved, or they may have they may not actually themselves have been born in the Caribbean, but they identify Caribbean, so they have Caribbean family and Caribbean ties. So that I try to have as wide a genre as several different genres, because there's so many different. When we look at Caribbean based, so that's one genre, but then you have all the different avenues of different types of books that you can have.
Yes, and we would have, a lot of us, I don't know if I want to use the phrase classic. You have Naipaul ones that most people would be familiar with, Miguel Street, also the stuff is where you have Selvon and David Dean, and a lot of those, if I'm talking prose, and then in poetry, of course, we have so many poets, Lorna Goodison and Martin Carter and these things. So for people like for me, we would not have thought of Caribbean horror, like that's a genre.
or Caribbean science fiction.
Right. And I saw a lot of that now, yes.
Caribbean fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
You have that. But not only that, things like even self-help books.
Right.
Meditation books.
Mm-hmm.
We have books on when they just came in, entrepreneurship, those kind of things. You generally people will go and buy from foreign
and the novel and
Yeah, I know, but
even listening to you and you're saying entrepreneurship, I never thought to listen or to read or to spend money on a Caribbean entrepreneurship text, because sometimes we don't see ourselves in that context as producing that kind of work for our population.
Yeah, and who would know better than being an entrepreneur than a Caribbean entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Because they would be speaking more to our environment than just a general, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So things like that. Then sport.
Right.
A lot of sport.
Yeah, I think we'd be used to cookbooks, and as I said, the traditional one that forgive me if I'm using the incorrect term, people out there, but sport books and cookbooks and the poems and the novels that we would have done. But you have offered and opened up, I think, Paper Based Bookshop, such a wide variety of experiences for people through your genre, and not just the genres, but the authors themselves. I've seen a lot of new and upcoming, authors being showcased at your bookshop, and I'm pleased to see that, to be able to support people and hear the different voices as well.
And now that self-publishing has become easier for people, we have a lot more people coming in who have self-published. memoirs and biographies, and people have stories to tell,
Right, for sure.
and now that it's easier for them to do that, they're coming to the forefront.
Right. Are there
Some are
any?
better than others.
Yeah. Yeah. And something like literature, as this is an art, I think it's dependent on your taste, what you
Exactly.
prefer. So I mean,
Exactly.
we would say it's better than other than somebody would really be impressed and and really
Exactly.
interested
Exactly.
by something else. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have, and that's the thing in the bookshop. We have everything. You have the light, fluffy ones, the kind of like what you call beach reads,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have the deeper ones that you have to actually sit down and think about. So the range is very wide.
Are there any emerging literary trends or genres that you're particularly excited about in Caribbean literature, you yourself?
Well, for me, it's because I'm a sci-fi and a fantasy buff. I love them, and these are kind of fairly new avenues for Caribbean writers.
Yeah, it's true.
And there are quite a few coming up, and so for me, that we have a lot of like the tried and true, following the normal story of um, life in the Caribbean and this kind of thing. But the fantasy and the sci-fi, this is a new avenue.
Yes, I haven't developed a taste for it yet. I have to do it because I personally like historical fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the
a lot
Caribbean,
of
I
people
love
do
that.
that.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
like that you mentioned that sci-fi aspect because when we think about it, I think we might subsume it with the idea of our folklore and the sukunya, the doyen and the this and the that, but it's not been that. It's not been only those things that,
There is that,
sci-fi.
but
Yeah,
they've also gone
yes.
beyond that.
Yeah. So it's
And
been
then
an
sometimes they
experience.
interweave them.
Mm-hmm.
So they use that and go more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what would be your recommendations of three must-read books that you think would capture the essence of Caribbean or your favorite three must-reads?
I was looking at that, and just before we started,
Uh,
it's just so difficult.
I know. I mean, forgive her. We're putting a disclaimer because we can't remember everything. And I know it's a difficult question to answer because I can't pick three. I have three like authors that I like, but I to pick three
Yeah,
books is
three
difficult. But I'm
books. Yeah,
asking you to put you in the hot seat.
yeah. Um, so let me go one for the past.
Right.
To me, Meagle Street is one
Right.
of my favorite. Love
Yes, it really captures, I think, the Caribbean, Trinidad, and the essence, right? That's a good one. Okay. Oh.
I'm going to put aside my second one for middle ground because I'm not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
For new authors, uh, Kevin Jarrett Hussain,
All right.
The Goods.
Yeah.
It's beautiful writing.
Right.
He's recently won Walter Scott Award.
Mm-hmm.
Well deserved. To some people, the book may be a little heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be my modern one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of a middle one that is not so far back as Meagle Street and not so modern as Kevin Johnson.
Too many books. I know. I it's too bad that you guys will not be seeing her face because this is exactly how I'll be reacting. You can ask somebody.
And then I don't want to say one on top of another one because then you might say, "Oh, that one really? This is better than that one."
Then later on tonight when they're sleeping and say, oh shucks, I should have
Yes.
said so and
Yeah.
so. But that's how it is. But that's fine. It's really difficult. If you love books and you love reading, it's so difficult because so many of them would run through, it would run through your mind. So I know it was a difficult question,
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I really wanted to get you guys on here from the Paper Based Bookshop because I really feel like you are doing something very special in terms of preserving and celebrating, the Caribbean cultural heritage. So how how do you think you as a bookstore contributes to that, to preserving and celebrating, what's happening here in the Caribbean?
Well, by simply being an outlet for them, just being there that people can come and put their books for sale, because a lot of them, they come and they give me their books to sell.
Right.
So it's giving them a voice. This is they start, like, a lot of them start self-published and then move up to becoming like more published by the
press
I guess the mainstream presses.
houses, and the press, yeah.
So it's stepping stones.
Right.
Also, because I like to say, what we're trying to do is once a month we are starting readings with in conjunction with the cafe for self-published authors.
Oh, lovely.
So they have a 20-minute read, so not a long, just an hour, because quite honestly, they're not always well attended.
Right.
The more well-known ones, people do turn out to, but the up-and-coming ones are not always well attended. But we're trying to make it so that it's, okay, every month there's going to be a reading by a new author.
Right.
So they read for 20 minutes, and then there's time if you want to ask questions or just talk to the author or have your book signed. We're aiming for that for the last Saturday of every month.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to take note of that when I'm recording to show up. I love that kind of thing.
Our next one, it'll be on our social media. It'll be Troy Hadid. It'll be starting with Troy Hadid. He did a book called Love.
Yes, I know. I heard him at Normandy reading. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, okay. I heard. Yeah, and I saw seeing the book around. That's good. Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be ongoing, and then twice a year we do a bigger, larger occasion. We call it teen readings. So now those ones are free.
Right.
Those month to month, you just come, sit down, free of charge.
Oh, I love
then twice a year we do teen readings, which have like 5 authors. Try to combine them with more well-known ones with the self-published.
Yes.
As a paid event, you come, you have tea, and you hear the readings, and then you get to talk.
You will love it. I've been to it, and I'm telling people, and I am. If you know me, you know who I am. You would love this, and you get to interact with the authors as well. You have to tell them that afterwards. Yeah, the books are also on sale, and you can get your book signed and that kind of thing. I have your questions answered, so if you can slip it in there,
yes, exactly.
You do. So it's really a nice experience. Have you been selling the books? Have you noticed a shift in the type of books or the trends that people are interested in, or even in the reading habits of the Caribbean readers?
It's difficult for me to say because I've only been here a year.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so I can only base it on that.
That's fine.
But looking at the sales, because of course I have access to the sales, not much. People still like, they come back for the classics.
Right. Yeah. Because for some people, it's the first time they're hearing about a particular, they may not have read it in school. A lot of us get exposure to a book or Caribbean book in school, and you may not have read another one that somebody else had been doing it at their own school. Or for instance, for me, I would not have known that an author had published another book. Which was my latest experience in a bookstore. How could I not know this? And then you have to get it and look where, because you ask around and your store was really the only one that was really selling it at the particular point in time. So, but I latched on to your idea of the sci-fi, and I think because it may have jumped to your mind as to mine that people are heading that way. And I wasn't surprised to hear you say it because, as I say, it's not my cup of tea yet. I haven't read it. I'm not going to dismiss it. But a lot of people have been telling me to go in that direction. So I guess,
Having said that, there are a lot of upcoming authors who are doing that, but our readership hasn't turned that way yet.
Right. Okay.
So you still find, I don't find like they're not fast sellers, because generally I don't see Trinidadians. Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah. But we know, I know this. I'm sure to get my money's worth in this.
Yeah.
So it's part of the Caribbean culture, I guess.
And it's just when it's there and it's there, people will, I think, will start to read it and then may go that way.
Yeah.
Again, until you try it, you'll never know. So people will tend to stick. And so I try to, encourage people to try different things
Right.
when they're in the bookstore.
Yeah, she does it very gently. She will say, there's this out, there's that out. I've been swayed and persuaded and spent all my money. So it's so good. I can't rate this store enough. I really, really love it. And I book a date every month to come there. And then I cry happily and sadly because I spent all the money in the store.
I know
But
people always complain. They come in and they say, I came for one book.
right. And then you
And
see
I'm leaving with 4 and 5.
Yeah. And then you get to meet so many interesting people in the store as well.
It's
Like
true.
people there just coming in and out. And now that you've expanded and moved from the Normandy to here, where the space, there's a lot more space, and then you have the cafe and the little sitting area, you tend to encounter a wider range of people now,
Yeah.
just coming in and out. So, and that's an interesting experience in itself.
Sorry, when you asked me about my day, that's the part I forgot.
Yeah.
Just being in the bookstore and talking to both customers and authors.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really, to me, that's the plus of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the administrative
Mm-hmm.
stuff, things you have to get done. But then I get to meet and talk with so many different people about so many different things, and I learn so much.
Okay. You're not tempted to be sitting there reading all day. I'm wondering.
Zero time for that. Zero time.
And which brings me to my next question. I mean, it might be an enjoyable job and all of that, and we think it's a beautiful dream job to be surrounded by books that you can read all day. But what are some of the unique challenges that you face running a bookshop in the Caribbean?
Unique challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, at this point, the main challenge is getting the word out there that we are here.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that because of we have very small resources for advertising and just getting that out. That is always my thought process. How can I get this known? Get our name more out there. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest challenge. Because everything else, getting the books, ordering the books, keeping up. I wouldn't even say it's a challenge. Keeping up to date with the new books, that's not a challenge. That's just
right.
That's just
part of the job. Yeah,
that's just part of the job. Mm-hmm. So that's all fine. Ordering the books, that's fine. Mm-hmm. We have the shipping in process. Great. Mm-hmm. So to me, it would be getting the name out there, being known.
And it's something like kind of like what libraries had to kind of contend with when you have the traditional way of going to the bookstore. I think most Caribbean people, when you hear bookstore, we only think of bookstore to go to buy textbooks. Bookstore. Yeah. It comes only to mind in July and August when you have to go to school and buy a book. So we don't know bookstore in another sense, Yeah.
Now that you've brought that up, so the other challenge is trying to get young people to read. Mm-hmm. Trying to get them off their phone and to actually read. Now, you see, there's a universal trend, trend out in Western society now. Yeah. That people are going back to books.
Right. Yes.
So, yes, I see Barnes and Nobles and all the big bookstores are making a comeback. Mm-hmm. Trinidad is generally like where you're always a couple of years behind in the trend.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we will circle back to that.
I think it will happen. A lot of people for themselves. It's a different kind of relaxation. Even the books are available like on Kindle and your devices and audiobooks and all of that. I think people who read, even your because I was going to mention it when you talked about getting the message out there, and I'm kind of happy and sad at the same time. I mean, because I'm happy because I want you to be promoted, but then I'm kind of sad because it's kind of like a niche. It's kind of a culture in itself. to the Paper Based Bookstore, and you see
Yeah.
some of the same people over and over again, and you kind of I don't want everybody to be coming in, but I take your point because it is an evolving thing in the 21st century, and you've shown that by, as I said, you said 1987, and we're in 2025, and you survived. So I think you definitely will, stand the test of time.
You know what? Something I think of all the time is how can I get young men? Because I see young women coming in, younger women. That's the trend. But young men, they're a difficult audience.
It's the same thing you hear all the time too, sometimes with parents and everybody. And I think it's a general thing. It's not only you experiencing this, that young men are not reading in the same way. And I've been saying to some parents, they are reading, they're just reading something different. So I find a lot of them go to things like manga, or they're reading anime things online. They are reading, it's just how you have to reach them in terms of that. They're not reading in the typical sense. And I don't think they've ever been doing that for as long as I have been an educator. Unless you truly, truly love and you've been brought up in a culture and household with reading, to get the males to read, you kind of have to meet them where they're at, and they will read the manga script to be able to look at how that character is fighting the other character and all of that. And that is reading, it's like their version of comic.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So I was looking at, there's a series that came out of Barbados. I forget the name. It's set in there's something of Bimshire. And it's not quite, so it's more prose. It doesn't have the comic book effect, but it follows that line.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was looking out for if I could find some manga. English manga.
So some people, are you listening? Somebody please go out and write Caribbean manga for us. And there probably is somebody out there writing it and just don't know how to get it out, or how to publish, and that's a whole other kind of conversation.
No, the only thing is that if for publishers, we do have, like, I have a list of resources. So any authors often come in and ask us, how should we go and stuff. So I have compiled a list of resources that we share with them. And then I also, because Bookaslit also they have ongoing courses.
Yes, and workshops.
They are, I'll tell them, hey, go and check this, go and check that out. This is coming up, that kind of thing.
Well, thank you so much, Simone, for taking the time, and of course, you'll be seeing me soon to spend some more money at Paper Based Books, because there were 2 books I didn't get there, so I'm coming back for them. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. I enjoyed doing this, and of course, I can do it wholly. But
it was a pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I want my listeners to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity.